going on, guys? Today I want to review the new Aara record, Eiger. If you are a stranger to the channel, Aara is one of my favorite bands of the past 5-6 years. Probably just one of my favorite bands of all time at this point. They are a Swiss trio. They play hyper-atmospheric black metal, very emotive, very sort of inspired by classical music a little bit. It's a pretty unique take on the atmospheric black metal genre, in my opinion. Aara's last few albums were part of a trilogy based on the novel Melmoth the Wanderer. That trilogy wrapped up last year. For the past 6 years, they have been releasing one full-length a year. Usually, I think that's kind of a bad sign. I think that sort of speaks to a band's maybe almost desperation or just sort of a willingness to compromise on the quality of the material you're releasing, sort of privileging quantity over quality. However, that is not the case with Aara. Aara are completely a studio project, which I think gives them the leeway to just focus on writing music. They don't have to worry about practicing sets or rehearsing live or losing time to touring. They can just sit down and write new music, which I think is amazing because I love this band. So obviously, that's not to say that there aren't ebbs and flows in how much I like each release. The end of the trilogy, which was called Triada 3 Nyx, was not my favorite of their releases. Still one of my favorite albums of 2023, but it just wasn't quite my favorite Aara release. However, I think I could safely say Eiger, this new album, is my favorite Aara record. I think they have incorporated just enough new elements into the songwriting and the atmosphere of the record to make this really stand out of the discography while still being identifiably Aara. Most notably, I would say, they have started to include pretty regularly like acoustic guitar passages, and I think that really adds to the diversity and the sort of the interest that this record is able to create. And I also think it was a very fitting decision because thematically the album is about a mountaineering disaster. So if you don't know, the Eiger is a very famous mountain in Switzerland. And I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm not sure if it's a true story that they're basing this off or if they're just sort of like dramatizing. I'm sure people have died on the mountain throughout history, but I don't know if they're sort of dramatizing something that actually happened or if it's really just factually based on something, a real story. But regardless, it's about a mountaineering disaster on the Eiger. And I think not only is that a great theme for a black metal record, it's also very Swiss, so it's very sort of like culturally and geographically relevant to the band, which I love. I really like when bands inject like their personal circumstances and just add a personal touch to their music, and it's not just sort of music in an abstract sense, right? It's kind of rooted in something. I really like that, and I think Aara have just really pulled this off. And the acoustic guitar passages, I don't quite know how to put my finger on it, but it just kind of adds like a more rustic feel, a folky feel that kind of evokes living in a valley in Switzerland. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of just speculating here, but that feels right to me. I also think this is their longest album to date. It is 8 tracks, 55 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's the most tracks they put on an album, and it's also just like runtime-wise the longest they've done. I've had a love-hate relationship with long albums the past couple years, but this one, I will say, does not feel like it's almost an hour long. No part of me feels like it's dragging. Nothing feels extraneous. It's just 8 tracks of atmospheric black metal. Nothing overstays its welcome. It is all just really potent, refined, focused, quality songwriting. I absolutely love this band. I'm hoping this sort of marks an entrance into a new era for Aara. Because I really like what they're doing sonically here. And I think they have really found a way to spice up the formula while still maintaining the core musical identity, which, if you haven't heard Aara before, is just like, blistering fast drums. I think the drum work, I mean, everyone in this band is superlative, but I really think the drummer is just like the crux of the band. He really is the backbone of the band that allows the music to shine. It's very fast-paced, lots of tremolo riffs, lots of almost major key melodies. I mean, it's very bright black metal. I should say this album also has, like, I think a little more darkness to it, just probably because it is about people dying on a mountain. There's almost like death metal riffs, lower tuned tremolo riffs, like stuff you would hear more in death metal rather than black metal. Or I shouldn't say lower tuned, like tremolo riffs on the lower strings, E string tremolo riffs that just kind of add a darkness and a menacing quality that, I've seen flashes of on Aara, other Aara records, but isn't necessarily a common theme for them. So yeah, I've said enough. This is a fantastic record. You will be hearing more about it later this year. Nudge, nudge. Highly, highly recommend checking this album out. Let me know what you guys think if you do end up giving it a listen. Appreciate you watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one.